Hi guys, it's Shayla again from Freckle Finance, and today my video is a request video. It was on how moving to the US has changed with healthcare costs, and just kind of maybe some of the differences is something I'm gonna add. I'm not sure if that was implied. If you're new to my channel, make sure you click that subscribe button below. I do videos on personal finance, financial independence, and just lifestyle videos. So to get started, obviously the biggest difference between Canada and the US is that in the US, you can't just hand your provincial health card to anywhere you want to go and it's fully paid for. Now, not everything is covered in Canada, so some stuff in that respect is the same. For example, you usually get dental and eye care through your employer as well in Canada. So that part is pretty much exactly the same, except that everything here is more expensive. So for example, I went to the dentist and my out-of-pocket cost was almost what it would have cost if I had to pay for the full amount in Canada. Now, I'm very fortunate that my husband has very good health insurance through his employers. I have watched other videos and seen some other people who maybe pay more a month or don't have quite as extensive medical coverage as we do. So I'm very happy about that. So we pay somewhere between $230 to $260 a month. Obviously, this is in gross income. For anyone who's Canadian that's watching, this is taken off your paycheck in gross income. So that value there includes medical, dental, and eye care. But of course, that does not cover everything. But luckily, through my husband's work, we do have an FSA. And so we right now are currently putting $500 a year towards that. We're going to reevaluate it. I did use quite a bit of it at the end of last year getting some dental work done. But for now, we think 500 because you can carry over 500 every year anyways. So that all is obviously taken out of my husband's paycheck and does not directly go into our budget because that all is gross income. Now, of course, that doesn't necessarily cover everything, and I don't always bring the FSA card on me when I go places. So I know that at the end of the year, I can claim that stuff on the taxes, but I do have about $20 of medical coverage in our budget for every month just to cover things here and there. For example, every time I go to the doctor's, I do have to pay a $10 copay. But I'm fortunate that we do not have a deductible, so basically I mostly just pay $10 when I go to the doctor for regular health stuff. The other coverage that ends up being really expensive is dental and vision, where like it covers everything 100%, but it actually doesn't cover like half of the stuff. So like I think I get up to 90% coverage on anything in my dental that's not preventative, and that means that that's pretty much nothing. I had something called like a deep scale done, and I'm like, how is that not considered preventative? You're literally trying to prevent something from getting bad in the first place. And they said, nope, not preventative, only covered 90%, and I can't remember what I had to end up paying for it. I think it was $50, which I put on my FSA. But yes, this whole thing of trying to figure out and budget for healthcare is very new to me. I frankly don't quite know how to handle it yet, and I don't remember to have my FSA on us. I'm not sure if you can get a second card. Maybe we should look into that because sometimes my husband has it on him, sometimes I have it on me. I always have my health insurance card on me, which I would have also in Canada as well. Everyone is always curious on what is the difference between Canadian and American health care. And there's honestly not really that much, except for that everything in the US costs a lot more money. That's just the way it is. So like I said, some of the co-pays that I've paid for dental work is literally what it would have cost me just to get the dental work in Canada. And I have no real way of finding out whether if I tried to pay out of pocket just for the full thing and not go through insurance, if it would have been the same or cheaper. I don't really know, because apparently insurance, or someone can put like a hold on your insurance and you have to literally request them to take it off to get a quote from elsewhere. And they won't give you or release you any information about pricing until they know exactly your coverage. So it's really hard to like figure out what actually would be covered if you tried to pay cash yourself and what is cheaper. So actually, if anyone has advice on that, let me know in the comments down below. We went and got glasses and mine were fully covered because I have really basic vision needs. Like I don't need special lenses or anything like that, but that did not happen with my husband. And we tried to get quotes elsewhere and no one could release us quotes. Like And it was like embarrassing. I mean, really, honestly, we probably should have just told the other person to take the hold off of us, but it's created a situation where you have to awkwardly tell a company that you still might want to work with that you need to take the hold off so that some other companies can give you quotes. So definitely next time I will be trying to get quotes beforehand. It wasn't like a ton of money, but yeah, maybe I should be listening to Budget Girl and getting my glasses online. We did reduce our vision care when we realized that like it literally doesn't cover some necessities that my husband needs in his vision, because his eyesight is very bad, like farsighted, so like he can't see very well far at all. If he doesn't have his glasses on, he pretty much can't function, and so he has to get expensive lenses. Like you can't not. And basically, yeah, it was an additional $110 just for those lenses, and you can get glasses in places for $110. However, when I was kind of looking online on online websites for eyewear, it did appear that he would still have like some extra costs on top of it, but overall it might have come out cheaper. I don't really know how to weigh this at this point, and we're probably not going to be getting glasses for a few years, so we'll revisit that when the time comes. So at least when it came to vision care in Canada, most people don't have 100% coverage on that. We did, and it did cover like all my husband's extra stuff. So, but it doesn't cover as much in frames, and I don't know if this is just the plan that we have provided for us through my husband's work, and it is 2 tiers, and we did get the upgraded tier because it came with 2 glasses, and since we were buying a car, I wanted sunglasses and regular, and we've now downgraded that because we no longer need new glasses, and we're not paying all this extra money to pay more money on top. But all of that in Canada is usually covered within that value. So if it was 80% coverage, you had 80% coverage including all of that stuff. But no, you wouldn't be able to buy Prada frames. This is the part I'm finding a little ridiculous about the health coverage. Like, you would think that it would cover more of the necessities instead of I got coverage for $300 in frames. So did I buy Prada glasses? Yes, because it cost me absolutely nothing more at this point since I'd already paid into this, but I've learned my lesson now. I'm probably never going to buy a pair of Prada sunglasses again. But why am I covered for Prada glasses, but I'm not covered for scratch, I'm not covered for anti-glare, and my husband's special lenses. Now, I know that this is not the case for everyone, and they've told me that there are companies who do cover this other stuff. I don't know. The healthcare system here is very confusing for me, but our plan does not cover it, and apparently you just kind of learn by learning a lot of the times. Dental care, I essentially covered all of it. Pretty much exactly works the same, except the dental care just costs more here. Now on to medical care. Almost all of it I only have to pay $10 for if I go to the doctor's. I think the maximum is that I have to pay is either $50 or $100 if I go to the emergency room and it's a non-emergency. So pretty much everything else is covered. So in that aspect, it's not really that much different or that much more costly. However, my plan has no out-of-network, but it seems like pretty much everyone in this area is in my network. So for now, that's not an issue, and I don't know that out-of-network is necessarily ever an issue, but you seem to get better coverage when you have an insurance plan that has no out-of-network people, because it's usually only a percentage that's covered in network and then a percentage out of network. But my experience is that it is easier to get an appointment. I have made appointments. I got into the doctor quickly. At least for me personally, I was not waiting for an hour to see my doctor because they booked 4 people for the same time. Now that could just be how it's done in this area, but I did really enjoy that. Also, the doctor's offices are a lot nicer, and I walked in thinking that it was like a daytime walk-in clinic because there was all these chairs and it was so empty. So we don't normally have like this big massive waiting area for like a little doctor's office that only has a few doctors. But yeah, it was a lot nicer looking. The one thing that's really, really cool, and I'm not sure if it's really possible or it's very difficult to do in Canada, is if you need a specialist, which I was looking for a specialist, you don't have to get a recommendation from your doctor. And that is so, so cool. So my doctor actually did recommend me to somebody, and I called and I made an appointment, and they said that their clinic required a $110 fee that cannot be covered by insurance. It's to cover costs that is not covered by insurance. I thought that was really strange. It was really unexpected. I asked around and pretty much no one had heard of it. So the doctor was really well rated, but I did end up finding another doctor who actually was in a more convenient location for me, and they don't charge that fee at that I don't know if it's called a clinic or a medical company, or I don't really know all the correct terminology yet. So I did manage to save myself $110 by doing research and making sure that that wasn't a common thing that people had to pay, because it just seemed so odd to me. And I guess when I looked further into it, it's because they were a smaller company. They weren't a massive company, so they charge it for you because the insurance company doesn't cover the cost of administrative work. I don't know, but I didn't want to pay it. I feel like it's already expensive enough to have medical coverage. You're paying all this money already monthly, and then you gotta pay co-pays because I don't have deductibles. And then, yeah. So basically though, like I said, it barely affects my monthly budget because it does come out of mostly just my FSA account or whatever. But here and there is a bit of medical costs. And I am not currently on any prescription medication, so I didn't need any coverage for that, and I'm not paying any extra money for that either. So overall, American and Canadian healthcare, it's in the healthcare aspect itself, is very similar, quite similar. The only difference is that, yes, as everyone knows, healthcare costs a lot of money in the US. I would like to point out that we did know this, and we did expect this coming here, that we would have to pay, and it was something that I looked at in my husband's offer to see what it was going to cost us and what it covered. The only thing is I made the mistake of thinking that that was a monthly fee, and it was actually a bi-weekly fee. So it was doubled, but it would not have made the difference between whether we moved here or not. So it's not that big of a deal. But nowhere on these statements did it say that it was bi-weekly, but maybe it's just common to pay per pay period for medical coverage here. And I possibly should have gathered onto that because that is honestly the way most things are done, but I don't know, I thought it was the monthly payment, so I was just a little shocked that the amount of healthcare that we were paying for was doubled. So let me know in the comments down below your experiences with healthcare in the US. If you have any advice or anything that I'm potentially misinformed about. I have only been here a little over 3 months, so I don't have like everything covered. I don't know how other types of coverages work. I can't even remember the name of the type of coverage that we have because people, I'll call them and I'll say my insurance and they're like, oh, are you this 3-letter acronym? And I'm like, I don't know. But from what I heard before I moved here is that nobody understands the health insurance industry. So I guess I shouldn't expect to fully understand it either. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember that no matter what your financial situation is, make sure to have a great day. Bye.